Hey guys, so Amendment 4, I wanted to chat with you guys about it because I'm a little bit confused on the marketing surrounding Amendment 4, the organization that is behind Amendment 4. Some of the uh, parties that are sponsoring this organization, that's behind Amendment 4 in Florida. And as I looked into it a little bit more, as I started to deep dive into the actual law, knowing nothing about the law, I'm just reading, and what the marketing material is surrounding Amendment 4, um, it feels to me, and I'm hoping you guys could, shed some light where I may not have all the knowledge, but it seems to me that the movement is a little bit manipulative, and I'm concerned about that. And from a Christian perspective, life is valued. Life is precious. We believe that we're all created in the image of God. We believe that we're all valuable, right? In the eyes of God, it says there's no Jew, no Greek, no male, no female, meaning there's no, all of our social constructs fall away in the eyes of God. We're all created equal, of equal value. Sure, we have different roles, we may do different things, but we have value in God's eyes. Now, we also believe that the unborn child is as valuable as anybody else. So when it comes to the marketing surrounding Amendment 4, today we're just going to be doing a lot of reading, because I think reading is important. A lot of people might go into this looking at the ads, looking at what it says, like this website, and not taking it any further. And I think as soon as you go a little bit further, you realize that it kind of falls apart. And I'm trying to understand, like, honestly, I'll be honest with you guys. I'm trying to understand how this movement is in any way honest. Is honest the right word I'm looking for? But something doesn't feel right about it. Let's dive in. Let's go to their website. So if you search up anything with Amendment 4 in Florida, the first thing you're going to get is Yes on 4. So the organization that brought this amendment to the system, meaning the ones that put it out there to be amendment, is the same organization that's sponsoring the campaign surrounding voting for it. So we're on their website. It's the first rank that you get on Google when you search for Amendment 4. I'm going to come back to some of this stuff. It says Florida's dangerous abortion ban forces women to wait until the brink of death to get care, threatens to jail doctors for treating their patients, bans abortions before many women even realize they're pregnant, has no real exception for rape, incest, or the health of the woman. So that's the claims that they're making on this website. And there are some testimonials, and the testimonials are gut-wrenching. Honestly, I feel it for every single person who has given these testimonials. But let's go into what Amendment 4 is. It's highlighted the important parts, right? And I think one thing should have been highlighted, but it isn't. It says no law shall prohibit, penalize, delay, or restrict abortion before viability. I think that should have been highlighted because the idea before viability is interesting. Or when necessary to protect the patient's health as determined by the patient's healthcare provider. This amendment does not change the legislator's constitutional authority to require notification to a parent or guardian before a minor has an abortion. So they're saying here that we don't want any interference before viability is established. So that's before the fetus is able to survive outside. So medically, it's before the fetus could survive outside the mother's womb with standard medical procedures. So that's around like right before third trimester, around there, like 24 weeks. So they're saying that no law shall restrict abortion before viability. That's 20-something weeks. Or, when necessary, to protect the patient's health. as determined by the patient's healthcare provider. That wording is not great. It says here, and the solution that they're presenting is it stops the extreme ban that has no real exceptions. Gives women and doctors the freedom to make healthcare providers. Oh, it still maintains parental rights, protection under the Florida law. That's great, ain't it? Right? But let's let's jump into the actual law, which is 390.0111. I'm going to be looking at two versions. One version from the Florida Senate, which is the 2021 version, and there's a 2024 version as well that's on Online Sunshine, which is the official site of the Florida legislature. So let's jump into that, and let's examine some of the claims that they made on their website. Let's keep it in our minds. Let's just go back to it real quick. It says, bans abortion before many women even realize they're pregnant, okay. Has no real exceptions for rape, incest, or the health of the woman. Forces women to wait until the brink of death to get care. Now, I'm going to read the law, and I'm going to put a question out there in terms of if you're a doctor or any person working in the healthcare in Florida, if you're a woman and you've had to go through this system, I want to understand where the law does not line up to the law, if that makes sense. Because to me, it's really, really clear here, and it's really well outlined, the parameters surrounding abortion. Even though, you know, this video isn't really to argue about the morality or anything about abortion. It's specifically coming down to this it feels like manipulation, which is why I feel like everybody should vote for no on this, because the law is really well written. It says, termination after gestational age of 6 weeks when allowed. A physician may not knowingly perform or induce a termination of pregnancy if the physician determines the gestational age of the fetus is more than 6 weeks, unless one of the following conditions are met. Two physicians certify in writing that, in reasonable medical judgment, the termination of the pregnancy is necessary to save the pregnant woman's life or avert serious risk of substantial and irreversible physical impairment of a major bodily function of the pregnant woman other than a psychological condition. So any serious medical condition that could arise from having this baby, that is the exception. The exception is written right there. So I'm not sure where these claims come from. Let's continue. So there's consensus. Two doctors need to come together and be like, hey, if we don't do something, this woman is going to die. And we're going to make that claim to the government that we're going to choose one life over the other, because that's what you're doing. You're choosing one life over the other, and both lives are valuable. Part B. The physician certifies in writing that, in reasonable medical judgment, there is a medical necessity for legitimate emergency medical procedures for termination of the pregnancy to save the pregnant woman's life or avert a serious risk of imminent, substantial, and irreversible physical impairment of a major bodily function of the pregnant woman other than a psychological condition, and another physician is not available for consultation. So even if there's no consensus, an argument could still be made to save the pregnant woman's life. The pregnancy, Part C, has not progressed to the 3rd trimester, and two physicians certify in writing that, in reasonable medical judgment, the fetus has a fatal fetal abnormality. The pregnancy is a result of rape, incest, or human trafficking, and the gestational age of the fetus is not more than 15 weeks as determined by the physician. So they even allow up to 15 weeks, right? So that's 3 months and a little bit. And at the time the woman schedules or arrives for her appointment to obtain the abortion, she must provide a copy of the restraining order, police report, medical record, or other court documentation providing evidence that she's terminating the pregnancy. Now, this is terminating a healthy pregnancy because of a very unfortunate situation. So they're saying, okay, after 15 weeks, the baby's too old. We can't do that. Before 15 weeks, they make an exception. So Part D directly opposes what is said on the website. So without looking too far into it, we realize that the claims made on the website are very misleading. To say the best, like the best case scenario is that it's misleading, right? Because looking at the law does have stipulations for rape, for incest, and all these very unfortunate. I don't want to be insensitive to these things, right? I don't want to be insensitive to women who have issues in their body, or babies or fetuses who have issues in their body. I don't want to be insensitive to that. But at the same time, we want to keep to, well, what this change is really going to mean. And it seems like they are trying to push a system where it's maybe like in other states, that a woman before the age of viability, which to some extent could be argued, can go talk with their healthcare provider and terminate a pregnancy. Or the doctor, without bounds, I would say outside of the doctor's ethical compass, can perform these abortions. I'm not okay with that. And I don't think you should be either. But if you felt like you've been lied to on Amendment 4, please drop a comment below after looking at this video and examining Amendment 4 in light of the existing law. It's kind of marketed in the sense of a freedom thing. I don't get the correlation between freedom and being able to terminate an unborn child. That's a correlation that just, I don't see the link in my mind, but hey, you guys could let me know down below how you make that correlation. And the testimonials from the doctor as well. Looking at this website, you would think that there's just nothing in the law. There's no exceptions. There's no stipulations. And Florida, like the government, is this horrid, harsh, rigid thing that just doesn't do anything for the health of women. You would think by reading this that you come to Florida and you have a complication and you just be like, nah, hard luck. We cannot do anything to help you. But that's just not the case, at least in the law. So I don't think the law needs to be changed. I think we should be educated and not vote yes on Amendment 4. So until next time, I'm done ranting.